Hey, y'all. Welcome to Sharpen, where no matter the candid conversation, we always whittle life down to what matters most. And we hope that as you hang out with us today, you will be inspired to do the same. My name is Nicole Payne. This is Danielle Perry. This is Lynn Rue. And this is Natyra Blount. And today's topic is the seasons of life, which is brought to you by Natyra Blount. This was her.
Sound like a whole commercial.
I know, right? When I normally go around and I ask the ladies what's been on their hearts and thinking about what's been on my heart. And so everybody sent back their responses. And Natyra said the seasons of life. She said, what was it?
Mine was the best one.
Thinking about all of the responses and looking at them, they kind of all fit into that anyway, right? And then seasons of life, as soon as she said that, it kept popping up like the next couple of days. So what are pros and cons to this season? Well, so pros for me, when I talked about my natural season of child rearing and being married, a pro is the fact that everybody in my house has his and her own relationship with Christ.
Amen.
My children, my boys were saved as early as 3, early as 3. So that is always that's always a high point for me and a good reminder when I start thinking about the do. I mean, that's like how I'm wired, like do, check it off. But remembering that the same God that I know is the same God that Asa and Isaiah know, and the same God that Kwesi knows. So they can hear him just like I can hear him, you know? The fact, another pro is the fact that God's not into playing games with me. Sometimes being hyper vigilant the way that I am, I will hear from God and hear instructions and then do them and then still be like, but did I do it right? Like, is it, have I missed a step? You know? And it's like God reminds me, like, girl, like you said one time, like, calm down.
Yep.
God is not into playing games. He's not into tempting you. He's not into putting unnecessary things in your way. You know what I mean? Like just to see how perfect you are.
Right.
Hello.
Yep.
Like hello.
Yeah.
No, he's not into playing games. So it's like when I feel like this, God reminds me that he's like this.
Yeah.
You're all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
He's always available to counsel me and tell me what he wants me to know so I can obey and operate accordingly in this season. Another pro, naturally, is having flex in my schedule to be more available to my family because I don't work a regular job. So just the way that things have lined up and have worked out, you know, kind of like what you talked about when you as the wife and as the mom are up before everybody else and you get yourself together.
Yeah.
It kind of works out like that for me, just with more flex in my time to be available to, if I need to run up to the school in the middle of the day, I can do that. If I need to, like, we've been down to one car for a couple of weeks because the starter went up in the truck. So, you know, now, Kwesi and I, we're dropping the boys off together and then I'm running him to work and then I'm coming back home and, you know, things like that. So that's another natural pro for me in this season. I really appreciate that time to be intentional towards my family. Because I've always felt like this, even when I was working. Like if I left the home and Kwesi and I were not on the same page or we were at odds or we had an argument, I just felt like, not that I wasn't covered, but I felt like my core base wasn't sound. And it affected me, like just going out throughout my day. Not like, oh, I'm going to die if he doesn't talk to me. But like at home, the home front is not together right now. And that would bother me. So this time around being in the season that I'm in, I just appreciate that availability to be able to get in my core, my home unit, you know, build myself up in the Lord. And keep my family, my husband and my children before the Lord more intentionally, you know what I mean? And then doing those things that I may not have been able to do while I was working. I just like that. I like that space to be able to do that and be there for that reason. I also believe that this has both immediate and generational implications too. Because not to say that if I was still working as a teacher, I wouldn't be able to still build up my family. But it's just really, really big on my heart to not just obey God for the here and now, the four pains, but for the generations after. You know what I mean?
Yes.
If I have anything to do with it, my sons and their children and their children's children will not be susceptible or will not be, they're going to start in a different place than I did. And they are going to, they're going to have a mama and a grandmama and a great grandmama who faced her demons and who asked God about anything, any curses, any generational habits that need to be broken now, so that generations after don't have to deal with it if they choose not to open that door again. That's what I'm saying. I'm very, very, very big on that right now. So cons for me are hearing from a perfect God, but being an imperfect human, needing desperately to navigate relationship with other imperfect humans.
That's good.
I'm reading a book right now by Jenny Allen. It's called Find Your People. And she says, outside of Jesus, relationships are the greatest gifts we have on earth and simultaneously the most difficult part of being alive.
You posted that somewhere.
On Facebook. So, yeah, I that resonates with me. And I guess just being, like, God is teaching me to be patient with myself. He helps me to be patient with others that I'm in relationship with. But that's a challenge sometimes.
Yes.
Not lying. A lot of time. A lot of the time. It's a challenge.
Absolutely.
And then not knowing how following God into the unknown, which is where I am in a season of not knowing how following God into the unknown is going to turn out. But at the same time, this always turns my attention right back to him, which is always good. That's it.
For me, I would say the pros of waiting, being in a season of waiting, it's just God building my faith, building my patience, building my love walk. And what I mean by that is when you're waiting on something that others have, you need to learn how to love through the pain of seeing somebody else have something that you're waiting on. And not allow your heart to grow jealous, to grow bitter, to grow envious, or any of those things. And so God has definitely been helping me with that. I would say another pro is learning how to be content more. Learning how to be thankful for everything that I have, because I really have no need of anything. When I really sit and think about my life, I'm like, even though I'm waiting on God to manifest in some areas of my life, I don't want for anything. I'm truly blessed. You know? So really sitting in that and really soaking in that, and just allowing God to just open my eyes to the fact that I'm really in a good place. And so those are the pros.
Did you say like
I said prawns because I was about to say
the
cons.
food? Oh.
Yeah. So the cons, I would say, I mean, sometimes you just get tired of waiting. It's like the whole thing that I said at first about seasons being longer than what you expected. It's like, I know you hear me, God, right? I know I've been faithful in this, right? I know I've been obedient in this. I'm not perfect, absolutely not. But God, I've been faithful. What is going on?
Like, why am I still waiting?
What is happening? And I think that's just a real human emotion that
It
we
is.
have.
It is.
Especially when God is telling you, I see your faithfulness. And you're like, oh,
But you still gonna wait. But you still waiting.
dot, 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 dot.
But you faithful right there, girl. You faithful.
So that can be hard. That can be hard. And you do have days, whatever you're waiting on God for, you have days where you're just like, God, I'm not having a good day today. And I need you. I need you today. And so those are, those are the cons that come with waiting.
Well, y'all heard all the pros. I would say with this season that I am in, one of the cons is that it is a lot. It's a lot when you know that you are responsible for this, and this. It's different when I think about like when we're going to church, and I'm like, but we are responsible for the beginning of that thing. Like we can't be coming in at 10. We need to be when that thing come on, boom. The team we need to be ready. And so Sundays are a little different for us than it would be someone who's just coming and sitting. They might say, let me just stop at Starbucks right quick and do this because I need this today. We ain't got time. So my body now, I typically am on the elliptical by 5:30 because I need to be in the shower by 6. And so now my body's always up before a couple of minutes before 5:30. So it doesn't matter if I go to, and I thought if I get in bed late, it won't, don't matter. I can fall asleep at 1:30, 5, around 5:15, 5:20, I'm awake. So this week has been, this week in particular has been, I've been very, very tired. But even this morning, because I was up, I woke up at 2 and I was up till about 4:30. And then I was like, I'm going to go back to sleep, get up at 7:30, hit the elliptical and do this and that. But I was tired when I woke. But I knew, no, you need to get up. That first 30 minutes, you know where you need to be. Get up and go. And that, does affect my rest when I have a whole lot of other things. Okay. So we've been working we're purchasing a vehicle. But it's in Pennsylvania. So it's a lot of, between the bank and the dealer and me. So and I have to send the emails and I have to do. So my husband is like, did you check? Did you see anything? Did you check? I'm like, bruh. But I'm at work and I have to check that. And I still have work and then I have deadlines at work. Like nothing is letting up.
Correct.
But that's the season I'm in. You want more. Much is given, blessed. So it can be, and yesterday I remember Montague called me and we were talking. And it's funny because I'm a second grade teacher. And the kids who were my second graders last year, it's probably like 5 or 6 of them come see me every day. Every day they come see me. And sometimes I think up in 3rd grade they're having a hard time. But sometimes they play too much and they come and see me because now, it's just, oh, Miss Blount, but I have some who come and see me at lunchtime. And yesterday I was like, yeah, I can come in at lunch. But I had like all these different things to do. And Montague was sending me messages. And I was going to eat because I packed chicken Parmesan leftovers. So I was going to warm that up and I was going to eat that.
Yep.
And I just remember feeling just within those few minutes, because the kid was like, Miss Blount, you gonna come in here and sit down?
Right.
Like you in my room on my time.
Yes.
I was like, hold up now, I gotta do this and this. But I needed to be there for those kids for that little bit amount of time. I knew that was something I was supposed to do. But I also know I needed to check my messages because the faster I sign this document, I need to know when it comes. The faster I sign it, the faster we can expedite this process, so it doesn't roll into next week. And I knew I had to prepare for the afternoon. So during lunchtime, sometimes I kind of look over what we're doing for math and science and yada yada.
Yeah.
And
Ooh, and how long do you have for lunch?
it's a 45-minute block. So just during that time, and he was like, "You okay?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm all right." And I just got, I ain't feel like talking, and I had to be patient with the kids, and so sometimes it is like, it's a lot, but I know it's supposed to be. I know I'm not supposed to put any of this stuff down, because of the next season of where I will be. I need to be able to, take the heat so I can stay in the kitchen. So just it gets tiresome. But I need to be up at 5:30. I can't sleep in. And we had that 2-hour delay. I didn't need to be on the elliptical by about 5:30, but I still needed to do it.
Right.
So I still made the adjustment and did what I needed to do. But it can be it's a lot of energy, a lot of time. One of those days I forgot to say hi to my mama, and mommy lived with me, and I literally didn't see her. I had like a headache. I got home and I was just overwhelmed, and I barely ate my food, and I took some medicine and I went to sleep. And then I wound up apologizing that next day, because normally I could go downstairs and talk to her for like 10 minutes, see how she's doing, blah, 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 and I didn't. So she was wondering if I was okay. And just making sure that I'm what I need to be to wherever I'm assigned right now. And just, I need to do it. I need to do all of it right now. And it's not always going to be like that. It's not always going to feel like that. Whether it's because I get conditioned and I'm good and I can handle, kind of like when you're working out and at some point your body can handle what you're doing. Whereas before it was a lot of pain, it was a lot of this, it was a lot of that. In which case you're going to be stretched again, what you're supposed to do. So I just know it's not always going to feel like that, but sometimes it can be overwhelming.
Yes.
But just because I'm overwhelmed doesn't mean I get to stop. So that's the con.
For me, the pros are, I believe the pros are I'm just not staying stuck, because when you're discovering things, whether you like them or not, you're just not in the dark about it. And there's the opportunity to change. There's the opportunity to pivot when it needs to be pivoted, and then grow. And even despite the fact that, the kind of growing, that there's pain in growing, just like when you're exercising and you're starting out, you don't always like it. You're utilizing muscles that you don't particularly care for, that you haven't used or that's been sedentary for quite some time. So there's going to be some pain and there's going to be some stretching, but in the end, the pro is you're going to be better. You're going to be a better person. You're going to be a better leader. You're going to be just an all-around better person. You're going to grow closer to God. You're going to, just be better in so many different areas as I'm discovering for myself. The con, sometimes the things that I'm discovering is like, ugh, like, I don't like it. That's it. And for some things, just not, you could fall into just being judgmental, because it's like, how? Like,
Judgmental of
just people, like things that you're discovering. The things, like, for example, when it comes just a transparency, like when it comes to my dad, when it comes to my father, who's been dead for 10 years now.
Wow, already?
Still, it's been 10 years, he and my brother. And it's, I still, the question for me becomes, what, I don't understand what my mother or my stepfather, mother, what they saw in him. Like, that part doesn't click.
Yeah.
It's like, why? Like, what about him was so appealing?
Yeah.
Like, for me, and it's like, so it's certain with my mom, it's like, okay, she was young, I could kind of understand certain things. and then there's a point of me where it's like, nah, I don't understand that no more. I really don't. You know, and then just like, but you weren't there. You're not in those shoes. You don't know where she was. You don't know where my stepmother was. You just don't know. So you can't. You could say that's not what you would do,
Right.
but you weren't there, and you're not them. You know, and even at certain points in leadership, you know, where it's like that's not the way I would handle it, but I'm not there. I'm not in that particular position. So it's those areas of, okay, you can't. It's easy to say what you would do when you're on the outside.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
It is. It's easy to
yeah.
say
Yes.
blah, 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 blah. I wouldn't do this. I wouldn't do blah, 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 blah. But when you're in that position and you're
ball
faced
game.
with those set of circumstances, we all would like not to handle it in that particular way, but you don't know because that's not you.
That's right.
So that's the con that I have, just exercising grace, because again, when we read the Bible and we turn around and we see like the Israelites, or we're looking at certain people and we're like, how did that happen? Because they were human.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and that's where I think
Yeah.
for me, that's where I just have to rest, because we're human.
We're human.
You know, we're flawed, and you know, we're not perfect, and you know how, because they lack faith. You lack it too sometimes. You know, like
Yeah.
you don't always believe what God said. You know,
That's
He
right.
said, yeah, He gave you this yesterday, but something else might come up and you like, I don't know if He gonna do that. You know, like there's this, I think a pastor said this. We think that heaven has a deficit, and it does not. And what you said on Sunday, what God, I had to say that to myself every day. I had to say that to other people. What the nurse said to Natara, what God cannot do does not exist.
Okay.
And I said that to myself every
Yeah.
day.
That's good.
That's real.
was
That
good.
really resonated with me. I had to say that to myself every day.
How she say it in the time? I loved it.
I loved it. Yes, I
Yeah.
loved it. But I said it every day, and I said it to my coworkers every day when I was praying for them all this week. Like, it's just like really stuck in my head to keep me walking by faith. Like, there's nothing God can't do, and even if He doesn't do it for me, then that wasn't the plan that He has for me.
Yeah.
Or it might be I'm not ready for it right now, or He has, and even if it's not that what He has for me, there's something better that He has, and I just need to be in expectation of it. So that's where I am.
Yeah. All right. Well, very quickly, how do you know a season has changed, and what's important? Which I think this was kind of answered earlier, but what's important to remember when a season is changing?
Well, you better remember the lesson, or you're gonna go through it again. That's one thing. If you don't remember the lessons, you're gonna be walking in that wilderness another year, looking at that same bush and rot. Like, didn't I say that one? Because you ain't get that lesson.
Yep. Yep.
You're gonna be running up on them same heights because you didn't fight those battles in disobedience. So
True.
you better remember those lessons.
True.
Yeah, and I think surrender regardless of the season.
Look at you with my word. Go
Sanity.
ahead.
Yeah, surrender regardless of the season, because God is the God over any season.
Absolutely.
He's God over any season, and our job is surrender regardless of it.
And seasons represent life. So a tree that's not going through the seasons, the only reason a tree would not go through the seasons is because it's dead.
Right. That's good.
And otherwise you're going to see that tree, unless it's like an evergreen or something, which I know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
So don't even try it.
right.
But you're gonna see that tree go through those different seasons.
Yes.
And I see going through different seasons just shows that you're living and that, you know, God is doing more because we're not here to stay the same. There's always adjusting, always growing. There's always a different thing to correct, something else to sift out. And that's life.
Right.
That's
Life.
growth. That is maturity. You know, there's nothing like seeing a tree that's been around for 100 years. It's like this
Absolutely.
big, beautiful.
It's always very
you're
impressive,
like, oh
yeah.
my goodness, how long did you do that?
Yeah.
And you think about like, I wonder how deep those roots are.
Yeah.
Like I want, and you know, we want to be like the tree. We want to be able to, you know, start out like this little, and then now we're this massive presence, and that becomes something that God can use. You can't get shade out of a tree that's just been planted.
Right.
I planted a tree maybe like a year ago in front of my house, and it's all little and whatever. Like, you can get no shade from that tree. But that tree that's been there in front of my house, look, the cicada tree that looks like it's alive when the
you
cicadas in
always
there,
run
that
it.
tree gives shade to our bedroom
Yeah.
because it's so high.
Yeah.
And then I just look at all the life in it. This little squirrel family, the cardinals that live in that tree, and just the flowers that come in the one season, and it's green in this season. And it's just a beautiful thing how God shows himself through nature. He shows himself through the relationships we have, and he shows himself through nature.
Listen.
And it's amazing.
It
But
is.
those seasons, it's life. It's life, and you grow. And as you go through your different patterns, and you grow some more, and then you know, and it's not really comfortable. You know, the trees go through that funny little season where they lose all the leaves
That's
and
how our
everything,
tree
and
look
then
right now.
they just kind of look like,
Right.
and then, you know, in a couple of months they're gonna be green and flourishing again.
Exactly.
And it's okay because there's still life
right.
happening. It just looks different in different times.
And then they're gonna
I love that.
change colors because it's fall. That's my favorite.
Yeah,
You see all the different
Yeah.
colors and
same.
And that's a perfect,
beauty
that
of
is
it.
a perfect segue to this quote that I wanted to share with y'all. Did y'all see the Dear Future Wifey podcast featuring Pastor Jerry Flowers?
no.
It was
No.
excellent.
A cuffing season.
Yes,
No,
it was
I've seen
excellent.
it. Yeah.
Now,
on my
clearly,
feed.
cuffing season's talking about singles, but
Right.
he just has so many nuggets of wisdom in there.
Oh,
And I
I
was
didn't
just
see that
like,
one.
yo, like this, I listen to him every now and then, but that was the first time I really sat and listened to him for like an hour. And I was really blown away by a lot of what he said. And this is the quote that I wrote down. He said, beautiful pictures are taken in the fall, right? But eventually, you got to let the season of fall go. You got to let go to prepare for the winter season, which is a harder season. But God wants you to go through winter so that you can come back fresh for the spring. He said, if you don't properly manage your winter, the seasons will shift, but you won't. And so
Quiet.
Okay.
that was just mind blowing to
That
me.
is,
Because
yeah.
again, going back to what we were saying about how we can delay seasons or we can have them repeat again, going around that same mountain over and over. Properly managing that winter. Fall was beautiful. The leaves are beautiful. The trees. I love when I'm just driving and there's like just all these multicolored trees.
Right.
It's beautiful.
Right.
And then, like you said, at some point, them leaves gone.
Gone.
And the trees are bare.
And it's a mess. We got to clean them things.
It is a mess.
And nasty when it's wet.
Listen to it. But nourishing the soil.
Yes.
And like you said, them eyes. Gideon makes that face sometimes.
Yes, he does.
But like you said, it may look different, but that's okay.
Right.
Like a bare tree doesn't look beautiful. It just looks
Bare.
ew.
Bear. Ew.
But there's still something, it's still something taking place.
Right.
So that by the time the spring comes,
Yeah.
those cherry blossoms or whatever, happens with
Yep.
that
Yes,
tree.
I love the cherry.
I know, it's
blossom.
beautiful.
It's beautiful.
It's beautiful again.
Exactly.
So allowing yourself to go through that winter season so that by the time spring comes,
Yeah.
you're flourishing again.
Right. You are.
Yeah.
That's good.
That was good.
All right, good talk, ladies.
Yes.
Well, to stay connected with us, check the show notes for the direct links to all the platforms where this podcast is available, or keep watching right here on YouTube. This podcast is also a part of the Just Be brand, which you can follow via the links in the show notes as well. There's merch and all there, y'all, including my book, Just Be
That's right.
Child, which can be purchased on Amazon. If anything said here helped you, please take a moment to share or repost this and any other videos from this channel that resonate with you. We thank y'all so much for hanging with us today at Sharpen, where no matter the candid or authentic conversation, we always whittle life down to what matters most. And we hope that today, as you hung out with us, you were inspired. I don't know what they on. You were inspired to do the same. We'll see y'all next time. Bye.
That was like we supposed to be looking. We supposed to be looking
Yeah,
right now?
exactly.